right here on Earth, in our own oceans. The world of Mobula rays crosses every barrier between oceans, between shallow coastal waters and the cold, dark, deep sea. They're found in tropical and temperate waters all around the globe. New research shows they are not only animals of the surface waters, they are hunters from the deep sea. They do not live on plankton alone, but chase prey far below, diving to more than 4,500 feet into water that is completely dark. They also have the biggest brains of any fish known, and often launch themselves out of the sea in graceful jumps. Scientists have seen manta rays quickly shift the colors and markings on their skin, a rare ability among animals. Giant manta rays are huge, intelligent, and still full of mystery. Why did they evolve to be so large? And how does such a massive body move so efficiently? What are they doing when they dive into those cold, dark waters? And what does their color changing mean as they glide through the sea? As a giant manta ray glides along, it beats its wings. The giant oceanic manta ray, Mobula birostris, is the largest ray species on the planet. With wingspans reaching over 26 feet and weighing up to 2 tons, they're breathtaking to encounter. When you watch a manta ray swim, you're not watching a fish, you're watching an underwater aircraft. About 200 million years ago, rays diverged from sharks. While sharks kept their torpedo-shaped bodies built for straight-line speed, they flattened out and expanded their pectoral fins into wings. Their pectoral fins make up 85% of their body length. Compare that to a great white shark of similar size, where the pectoral fins are only 10 to 15% of body length. What advantage does having massive wings give you? The great white is a powerful, fast swimmer. It can burst forward with incredible speed, but it can only really move in one direction. Turning is slow and requires a wide arc. A manta ray can swim in tight acrobatic circles. It can flip, barrel roll, and change direction almost instantly. It can hover in place. In engineering, an aircraft that can turn on a dime is usually unstable and hard to control in a straight line. But the manta ray has solved this problem. In both air and water, longer, narrower wings provide more stability. Think of a tightrope walker holding a long pole. The extra length helps them balance. Manta wings aren't as long and skinny as a glider's wings, but they're long enough to provide stability while still being flexible enough for tight turns. And manta rays don't just flap their wings up and down like a bird. They combine 2 types of motion simultaneously: oscillation and undulation. Oscillation is the flapping motion, the wing moving up and down. This generates the main propulsive force, but at the same time, the wing is undulating. A wave travels from the body outward toward the flexible wingtips. As the manta flaps, its fins disturb the water and create vortices, swirling patterns of water that push against the surrounding fluid and propel the animal forward. Scientists have measured the propulsive efficiency of this combined motion. It's 89%. For context, Most fish are around 70 to 80% efficient. The manta ray has achieved near-perfect hydrodynamic efficiency. This efficiency allows them to cruise at about 9 miles per hour or 14 kilometers per hour. But when they need to, when a predator appears or they're chasing a dense patch of plankton, they can sprint at 22 miles per hour, 35 kilometers per hour. Research teams around the world are now designing autonomous underwater vehicles modeled after manta rays. The goal is to create machines that can move as efficiently and nimbly as the real thing. Their entire body plan is optimized for their lifestyle. Manta rays are not giant stingrays. Yes, they're related. Yes, they're both rays. But they've evolved for completely different lifestyles. Stingrays have their mouths on the underside of their bodies. This makes sense because stingrays live on the sea floor, hunting for crustaceans, mollusks, and small fish buried in the sand. Their mouths are positioned to suck up prey from below. Manta rays, on the other hand, have their mouths on the front of their bodies. And flanking that mouth are two distinctive appendages called cephalic lobes. These look like horns, which is why manta rays were once called devilfish. But these aren't horns. They're highly specialized feeding structures. When a manta ray is swimming, these lobes unfurl and act like funnels, channeling plankton-rich water directly into the mouth. These cephalic lobes make manta rays the only vertebrate with 6 paired appendages: 2 cephalic lobes by the mouth, 2 pectoral fins that form the wings, and 2 pelvic fins at the back. Every other vertebrate, from fish to humans, has just 4 paired limbs. Stingrays have a venomous barb on their tail that they use for defense. It's a formidable weapon. But manta rays? They've lost it. In most Mobula species, including the giant manta ray, the tail has no stinger at all. They've evolved past the need for it. Their size is their defense. When you're 8 meters across and weigh 2 tons, very few predators want to mess with you. And stingrays have crushing tooth plates designed to grind up hard-shelled prey. Manta rays have tiny, peg-shaped teeth only on their lower jaw, and they don't use them for eating at all. They're only used during mating, when males grip females. Because manta rays don't chew their food. They're filter feeders. When they encounter a dense patch of plankton, they open their mouths wide and swim through it. Water and plankton flow into the oral cavity and pass over structures called gill rakers. These act like a sieve, trapping the plankton while the water flows out through the gills. It's like being a giant flying colander. This shift from crushing prey to filter feeding happened sometime around 50 million years ago. Scientists believe it was triggered by a combination of factors. After the dinosaurs went extinct 66 million years ago, many ocean-dwelling planktivores disappeared, opening up a massive ecological niche. And then, about 55 million years ago, there was a geological event called the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum. Global temperatures spiked by 5 to 8 degrees Celsius, causing a boom in plankton populations. Suddenly, there was an abundance of tiny, nutritious food floating in the ocean. And the ancestors of manta rays were perfectly positioned to exploit it. They developed larger mouths, lost their grinding teeth, and evolved gill rakers. And then, something remarkable happened. They became giants. How does eating tiny plankton make you enormous? A concept called Cope's rule. This is a biological principle that states evolutionary lineages tend to increase in size over time. First, a larger body gives you an increased foraging range. You can swim farther and more efficiently, allowing you to travel between patches of plankton-rich water. Second, a larger body provides greater energy storage, so you can survive longer journeys between feeding grounds. Third, a larger mouth and more gill rakers mean you can process more water and filter out more plankton with each pass. When a manta ray reaches full size, it has almost no natural enemies. Orcas will occasionally hunt them. Large sharks, like bull sharks and tiger sharks, will sometimes take bites out of them. In Mozambique, researchers found that 75 to 80% of manta rays have shark bite scars. But they survive. The sharks just take chunks out of the wings, and the mantas keep swimming. Bigger manta rays can travel farther, eat more, and survive better. Over millions of years, this pushed the species toward gigantism. But there's a dark side to being so large. Big animals are more vulnerable to extinction. They need more resources. They have longer reproductive cycles, and they're more susceptible to environmental changes. Manta rays reproduce slowly. Pregnancies last a full year. Females only give birth to a single pup every 2 to 3 years. This is more similar to elephants than to most fish. And it means that if manta ray populations decline, they can't bounce back quickly. Their life history strategy is built on the assumption that adults will survive for decades. And when that assumption is violated, when humans start killing them faster than they can reproduce, populations collapse. Oh, it's still a video about the struggle for survival in the deep sea. Don't forget, we'll be back in the Twilight Zone soon, but we'll come back to later. For decades, we thought they only ate shallow water plankton. We'd see them swimming near the surface, mouths open, filtering food. But manta rays aren't shallow water specialists. They're deep sea hunters. For a long time, studying manta rays was incredibly difficult. They travel vast distances. They're hard to track. And when scientists were lucky enough to spot one, it was usually from a boat, watching the animal swim near the surface. So for decades, all of our data about manta rays came from shallow water observations. We saw them filter feeding at the surface, and we assumed that's what they did all the time. But some researchers had a hunch. So they traveled to Ecuador, where the largest known aggregations of giant manta rays gather. And they started collecting tissue samples, small muscle biopsies from the rays, along with samples of the plankton in the surrounding water. Their goal was to confirm that the mantas were eating shallow water plankton. They used a technique called stable isotope analysis. Specifically, they looked at nitrogen and carbon isotopes. So a top predator, like a shark or tuna, will have a much higher nitrogen ratio than something like plankton, which sits at the bottom of the food web. Carbon isotopes, on the other hand, tell you about the origin of the food. Surface plankton and deep-sea mesopelagic plankton have different levels of carbon-13 because of differences in their environment and metabolism. The researchers analyzed the isotopes in the manta ray muscle tissue, and the chemical signature didn't match. The manta rays weren't eating primarily surface plankton. Their isotope ratios looked like they were eating food from the mesopelagic zone, the deep layer of the ocean between 200 and 1,000 meters deep. It meant that manta rays were diving deep, really deep, and they were feeding down there. But scientists needed more proof, so they started tagging manta rays with satellite transmitters. And the data that came back was astonishing. The manta rays were diving to depths of 1,400 meters. That's nearly a mile deep, down into the midnight zone, where sunlight never reaches and the pressure is crushing. Another research team tagged mantas off the coast of Peru and tracked their movements over 24 hours. They found that 3 of the rays dove much deeper at night than during the day. During the day, they stayed closer to the surface, possibly to warm up. Remember, manta rays are ectothermic. They can't generate much of their own body heat. Staying near the warm surface during the day might be a way to maintain their body temperature before diving into the cold depths at night. What are they doing down there? At first, scientists thought they might be feeding. The mesopelagic zone is home to enormous populations of small fish, squid, and crustaceans. It's one of the richest ecosystems on Earth. But when researchers looked at the dive profiles, something didn't add up. The mantas weren't spending much time at depth. They'd dive down, pause briefly, and then come back up. They weren't exhibiting the kind of behavior you'd expect from an animal hunting for food. So if they're not feeding, what are they doing? The leading theory is navigation. Scientists believe that manta rays are diving deep to gather information about their environment, to build mental maps of the ocean. The open ocean is a featureless void. There are no landmarks, no mountains or valleys to navigate by. But the deep ocean has stable environmental gradients, temperature layers, oxygen levels, and most importantly, the Earth's magnetic field. The strength and angle of the magnetic field vary depending on your location, and many marine animals, from sea turtles to sharks, can sense these variations and use them for navigation. Scientists believe that manta rays dive deep to sample these stable magnetic and chemical signals. They're essentially taking readings, gathering data points that allow them to orient themselves and navigate across vast distances. And here's the fascinating part. Researchers noticed that manta rays often perform their first extreme deep dive within 24 hours of leaving the continental shelf and heading into open ocean. It's like they're calibrating their internal compass before embarking on a long journey. And after these deep dives, the mantas often travel over 200 kilometers in the following days, moving with purpose and high directionality. It's a behavior we've never seen before in rays. At 1,000 meters, the water temperature can drop to just a few degrees above freezing. For most fish, this would slow down their metabolism and brain function dramatically. But manta rays have a secret weapon: a warm brain. Most fish are completely cold-blooded. Their body temperature matches the water around them. When they swim into cold water, everything slows down. their metabolism drops, their muscles become sluggish, and most critically, their brain function decreases. Neural signals travel slower in cold tissue. Synapses fire less efficiently. For most fish, cold water means slow thinking. But the giant manta ray has evolved a remarkable solution. They have a specialized network of blood vessels called a rete mirabile. That's Latin for wonderful net. A complex tangle of arteries and veins that acts as a countercurrent heat exchanger. When a manta ray swims, its massive pectoral muscles generate heat, lots of it. That warm blood flows through arteries toward the gills, where it would normally lose heat to the surrounding cold water. But before it gets there, the warm arterial blood passes right next to cold venous blood returning from the gills. Heat transfers from the warm blood to the cold blood. The result? The blood heading to the brain stays warm, even when the surrounding water is freezing. This localized endothermy, the ability to keep specific body parts warm, is incredibly rare in fish. Some sharks have it, tuna have it, and now we know manta rays have it too. But what makes the manta rays special is where they're directing that heat, straight to the brain. And what a brain it is. The giant manta ray has the largest brain of any fish on Earth. Not just in absolute size, but in proportion to body size. The brain-to-body mass ratio of a manta ray exceeds that of the enormous whale shark. It's comparable to some mammals. In the Mobula genus, the telencephalon, the forebrain, makes up 61% of the total brain mass. This is the region associated with memory, learning, complex social behavior, and higher sensory processing. For comparison, in most fish, the forebrain is much smaller. The fact that manta rays have such a disproportionately large forebrain suggests they're doing something cognitively complex. But how do we measure intelligence in a fish? You can't give them an IQ test. You can't ask them to solve puzzles. So scientists have developed other methods. And one of the most famous is the mirror self-recognition test. This test was originally developed for primates. You put a mark on an animal that they can't see without a mirror. Then you show them their reflection. If the animal recognizes that the image in the mirror is themselves, they'll investigate the mark. They'll touch it, try to remove it, or examine it closely. This suggests self-awareness, the ability to understand that you are a distinct individual. Very few animals pass this test. Great apes pass it. Dolphins pass it. Elephants pass it. Some birds, like magpies, pass it. But fish? Almost never. Except, possibly, for manta rays. In 2016, researchers at the University of South Florida conducted a modified version of the mirror test with 2 captive manta rays. They couldn't put a visible mark on the animals, so instead, they observed behavior. And what they saw was remarkable. When presented with a mirror, the manta rays didn't treat their reflection like another animal. They didn't try to socialize with it or show aggression. Instead, they performed unusual movements. They'd blow bubbles while watching their reflection. They'd move their cephalic lobes in strange patterns. They'd position themselves to look at parts of their body that aren't normally visible to them. They were exploring their own identity in the glass. This is called contingency checking. It's when an animal performs an action and watches to see if the reflection does the same thing. It's a sign that they understand the connection between their movements and the image in the mirror. Now, Some scientists argue that the mirror test isn't definitive proof of self-awareness in all species. Different animals might interact with mirrors in different ways. But the fact that manta rays show this behavior at all is extraordinary. It suggests a level of cognitive sophistication that we simply don't see in most fish. And there's more evidence of their intelligence. Manta rays are curious. Divers who spend time with them consistently report that the mantas seem to be observing them, studying them. Some mantas will approach divers repeatedly, making eye contact, circling around them. It's not feeding behavior, it's not mating behavior. It appears to be genuine curiosity. There are also reports of manta rays seeking out human help. When a manta gets tangled in fishing line, which happens tragically often, some individuals will approach divers and hold still, allowing the humans to cut away the line. Once freed, they swim off. This suggests they understand that humans can help them, that they can recognize us as intelligent agents capable of solving problems. Jessica Pate, founder of the Florida Manta Project, has spent years studying these animals, and she's convinced they're far more intelligent than we give them credit for. She describes them as being more similar to dolphins than to typical fish. They have complex social lives. They form long-term associations. They have individual personalities. Some are bold and curious. Others are shy and skittish. They remember locations, remember other individuals, and possibly even remember specific humans. All of this intelligence requires energy, and that's where the warm brain becomes critical. By keeping their brain at a higher temperature than the surrounding water, manta rays can maintain fast neural processing even when diving into the cold depths. They can think clearly at 1,000 meters down, where the water is just a few degrees above freezing. This gives them a massive advantage. They can navigate, hunt, and make decisions in environments where other fish would be cognitively impaired. Manta rays were thought to be solitary wanderers. You'd see one gliding through the ocean alone, and you'd assume that was their natural state. The breakthrough came from long-term studies in the Maldives and Raja Ampat, where researchers used social network analysis to map the relationships between individual manta rays. They photographed hundreds of animals over the course of 5 years, tracking who was seen with whom and how often. And what they found was remarkable. Manta rays form preferred associations. They have friends. And speaking of cleaning stations, these locations are absolutely critical to manta ray society. A cleaning station is a specific spot on a coral reef where small fish, usually cleaner wrasses, set up shop. For manta rays, cleaning stations are like town squares. They're social hubs, places where individuals gather, interact, and maintain their health. And there's a fascinating etiquette to how they behave at these locations. Manta rays don't just rush in and crowd the cleaners. They form orderly queues. They circle the area, waiting their turn. When it's their turn, they approach slowly and position themselves carefully, often banking to one side to expose their gills and mouth to the cleaner fish. If multiple mantas are present, they respect each other's space. They don't push or shove. They maintain the order. When mantas travel together, there's often a clear hierarchy. Larger individuals lead, smaller individuals follow. During courtship, females lead and males follow. This suggests that manta rays are paying attention to each other. They're making decisions based on what others are doing. They're coordinating their behavior. All of this points to a level of social complexity that we simply don't expect from fish. But then again, manta rays keep surprising us. And one of the most recent surprises is something that seems almost impossible. They can change color. When you look at a manta ray, you see a distinctive pattern. The dorsal side, the top, is usually dark navy or black with white patches. The ventral side, the belly, is mostly white with black spots and markings. These patterns are unique to each individual, like a fingerprint. Researchers use them to identify and track specific animals. For decades, we assumed these patterns were fixed. You're born with a certain pattern, and that's what you have for life. But then, researchers started noticing something strange. The colors were changing, not over months or years, but over hours, sometimes even minutes. It started with observations of captive manta rays. Researchers noticed that the skin around the eyes, mouth, and inside the cephalic lobes would rapidly lighten or darken. The chevron patterns on their backs, those distinctive white triangular patches, would shift in intensity. And this seemed to happen during specific situations. When the mantas were having intense social interactions, when they were about to be fed, when they were excited or stressed. Color change in cartilaginous fish? That's almost unheard of. Sharks don't change color. Most rays don't change color. This is something we associate with cephalopods, like octopuses and cuttlefish, but not with elasmobranchs. So how are they doing this? We don't fully know yet. In cephalopods, color change is controlled by chromatophores, specialized cells in the skin that contain pigment. One possibility is that manta rays have a previously unknown type of chromatophore. Another possibility is that they're controlling blood flow to the skin, causing certain areas to appear darker or lighter. Why would a manta ray need to change color? What do you think this mysterious behavior is? Comment below and let's chat. In 2018, the giant manta ray was listed as endangered on the IUCN Red List. And in the United States, it was listed as threatened under the Endangered Species Act. Manta rays aren't being caught for their meat. They're being killed for one specific body part. They're gill rakers. Those comb-like structures that filter plankton out of the water. In traditional Chinese medicine, gill rakers are believed to have healing properties. There's no scientific evidence that they have any medical benefit whatsoever, but the demand is enormous. And it's driving a targeted fishery that's decimating manta populations. A single set of gill rakers can sell for hundreds of dollars. For fishermen in developing countries, that's a huge incentive. And because manta rays are slow to reproduce, populations can't recover quickly. Manta rays are also victims of bycatch. They get tangled in fishing nets, they get hooked on long lines. And because they need to keep swimming to breathe, if they're trapped underwater, they drown. Manta rays rely on healthy coral reefs for cleaning stations and nursery areas. But coral reefs are dying. Climate change is causing ocean temperatures to rise, leading to coral bleaching. Ocean acidification is making it harder for corals to build their skeletons. Pollution is smothering reefs. And as the reefs die, the manta rays lose critical habitat. Because manta rays are filter feeders, they're ingesting enormous quantities of microplastic particles along with their plankton. We don't yet know what long-term effects this has on their health. Several countries, including the Maldives, Indonesia, and Ecuador, have established manta ray sanctuaries. These are large marine protected areas where fishing for manta rays is prohibited. And they're working. In the Maldives, which has the largest known manta ray population in the world, protection has allowed the population to stabilize. The deep sea is still one of the last unexplored places on Earth. If you enjoy exploring the strange world of giant manta rays, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below and tell me which aspect of their intelligence amazes you the most. And if you want to dive deeper into the mysteries of the ocean, check out my video about the bizarre creatures of the deep sea, including octopuses. I've put the link on the screen. Trust me, you're going to love it. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.